Hello and welcome to Current Issues. We are living in a country where about 10 out of 29 states are facing droughts. It is an alarming situation as crores of people are struggling to access their daily quota of water. In parts of Maharashtra, the situation is so bad that doctors are putting off operations due to lack of water. It is in such a situation that we are asking today, is drought not a disaster as yet?
The lines on these faces reflect the drought conditions in the country that are crippling large areas of India's farmland, as the country faces its driest monsoon since 2009. Drought has hit 10 states of India, the worst affected states being Maharashtra, Telangana and Karnataka. Adding to the existing list of drought-hit states this year are Gujarat, Haryana and Bihar, where rainfall is expected to be much less than last year. More than 60% of India's agriculture relies on monsoons. With temperatures rising and rainfall reducing every year, the farmers of India are becoming more and more vulnerable. A staggering 3,228 farmers committed suicide in Maharashtra in 2015, the highest since 2001, which is almost 9 farmers every day. The government claims to be taking all measures to tackle the issue. Rural Development Minister Virendra Singh has written to the Chief Secretaries of 13 drought-affected states, directing them to ensure that over the next few months, until monsoon, no person demanding a job should be turned away. The centre has also promised to release 55% of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act funds by June this year to help the drought-hit states. The ministry has also provided rupees 12,000 crores to the states for the payment of arrears for labour cost.
हमारे देश में महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटक, तेलंगाना, आंध्र प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, मध्य प्रदेश, झारखंड, गुजरात और मध्य प्रदेश, इन क्षेत्रों में पानी की किल्लत है और जब तक यहाँ पानी की सिंचाई नहीं बढ़ेगी, पानी का संवर्धन नहीं होगा, चेक डैम नहीं बनेंगे, डैम नहीं बनेंगे, समुद्र में जाने वाला पानी जब तक रुकेगा नहीं, तब तक वहाँ की परिस्थितियों में बदल होना कठिन जाएगा.
In Maharashtra, the government has spent rupees 1,544 crores to build water conservation projects. Ponds, wells, check dams and drip irrigation in 6,205 villages across 34 districts as a part of a program to end water scarcity between 2014 and 2016. But is this enough? Has it brought any relief? Are the farmers secure of a better season this year, or are they yet to face the biggest crisis? The questions still remain.
So that brings us to the big question today. Is drought not a disaster as yet? When about 10 out of 29 states in the country are facing severe droughts. You could also send in your answers on Twitter to NewsWorldIn, or you could give us... Okay, let us get in Shehzad Poonawala, Secretary Maharashtra Congress, into the debate. We also have with us Sudesh Verma, BJP spokesperson, as well as Vimlendu Jha, who's an environmentalist. But let me get in Shehzad first. What is your analysis of the whole issue? One. But first, I would also like to ask you a question. Thousands of crores were spent on irrigation projects in Maharashtra over the past 10 years. Why is the situation so bad in Maharashtra and then also the country? But I think you could also tell you of Maharashtra because you hail from there.
See, let us now not dwell too much on the past and see the situation currently.
Yes.
Let us accept that this is one of the worst droughts in the last 100 years.
Yes.
Nobody is taking that away from the government. But it is the seriousness and the commitment of the government that is in question. And
Yes.
it is not being questioned by me, it's being questioned by the Honorable Supreme Court.
Yes.
Last week in the Honorable Supreme Court, Justice Lokur questioned the government that out of the 100 days that you have to provide work in the Narega scheme, only 48 days are being provided.
Yes.
Till today, the central government owes 6,000 crores to the 13 drought-affected states for previous year's Narega wages.
Okay.
Not just that, when the government had to reply on the drought situation, its ASG did not even appear in court. And the government had to be called by the Supreme Court and said that are you not showing any seriousness in this issue? Are we useless?
So Shehzad, I'll toss this question
even
to
the minister.
Yes. Shehzad, I'll toss this question, the
Even
points
the
you
U-
raised
even
with
the
Sudesh
Union
Verma.
Minister
Let
Oma
Sudesh
Bhate-
Verma rebut. Sudesh Verma, will you like to rebut him? Because Shehzad is saying that about 13,000 crores of funds were not transferred. One, first, also the MR, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Scheme funds were not given. So what do you think on this issue?
You see, there was a delay in transfer of fund, but delay does not mean the delay was intentional. It was because of technical reasons, because of bureaucratic reasons.
Okay.
So you must try to understand that these small brownie points,
Yes.
you can score a political point, but at the same time you are not going to tackle the situation which is there. You raised the question that why disaster is not being declared,
Yes.
But the whole issue is, like for example, Marathwada region.
Yes.
8 out of 11 major dams in that region are dead now at the
Okay.
storage level, which
Okay.
means that water cannot flow, you have to draw water.
Yes.
So in some regions like Marathwada,
Yes.
you have a very severe drought.
Yes.
You have very severe drought in Bundelkhand of Uttar Pradesh,
Yes.
but not in the entire state.
Yes.
So that is the reason that because of those technicalities,
Yes.
it may not
Yes.
be right to declare it.
Now let me
disaster.
at this
But
point get in Vimlendu Jha into the debate.
It's completely wrong.
Vimlendu, how do you see this whole issue? 10 out of 29 states are facing severe drought. The condition is so bad due to primarily two reasons, that so many borewells that have been, actually people have been digging borewells contrary to how many should have been dug. I'll just give you a small point following which you can make your point. In 10 talukas of Maharashtra, where you were permitted to have 3,500 borewells, people have dug 90,000. Now this actually goes out of all ratios. I mean, there is no ratio you can put to such a figure. What do you think about this?
Absolutely right, and therefore, the most convenient argument that most of the politicians have is to blame rain gods.
Yes.
And say, well, the reason why we're actually having a drought situation today or for several years is primarily because of the lack of rain.
Yes.
Of course, there is a small contribution there, but we need to also understand that in the same drought situation, if you can actually have a bumper sugar crop, why do we have farmer suicides happening at the same time? So some farmers have access to water and some farmers don't have access to water, and therefore it's a question of priority, it's a question of equity. So we need to understand that yes, when we have a crisis situation, and it's not as if we only woke up in the month of April and we suddenly imagined that there's a drought. We always knew that there is a drought, because this is not the first year, this is almost the fourth year of drought that we're actually seeing in Marathwada for example.
Yes.
So there's no preparedness. In the name of governance, we need to understand that is sanctioning a bullet train on the last day when there's a lot of hue and cry, when there's a public debate about drought, is when you actually talk about drought, or drought planning or preparation or governance around it needs to be the main core activity of the government. And across states is what we're talking about, across political parties that we're talking about. So it's not necessarily, as in, of course, there's an environmental angle to it in terms of lack of water, but there is a larger governance and lack of political will or corruption or collusion or no interest that the government shows towards poor farmers. It's only the rich farmers. Tell me one thing, if the situation was such, rich farmers are not committing suicide, rich farmers are not migrating, rich farmers' crops are actually not suffering. So the poorest of the poor are the ones who are actually suffering the most. And therefore we need to understand that where is the government?
So where is the government is the question. But since this question has been raised by Vimlendu, I would like to draw in all of you panelists into one question. 69 years after independence, we are facing droughts year after year. Shouldn't we hang our heads in shame? Today, shouldn't we hang our heads in shame, because we have to go to the people and tell them that 69 years after governments have ruled us, we still are facing the same problems over water and other inane issues. So Sudesh, I would first like you to talk, followed by Shehzad and then Vimlendu. Sudesh.
See, it is easier to blame the government that is there in power. But at the same time, you have to understand, as for example, Marathwada, if you want to understand, there has been 4 consecutive years of drought.
Yes.
You see, while at the same time, you cannot predict monsoon, but you can create matching structures so that when drought comes, you can deal with the situation. And this was not done in the last so many years, like 60 years I am saying. They never thought of linking of river, they never thought of creating water bodies. We talk about drought when drought happens. But we have to actually prepare ourselves for such a situation where our irrigation, our farmer does not depend on monsoon. We can decrease dependence on monsoon, and this can happen only when the government invests in infrastructure, which we are doing. You see, we have already earmarked 50,000 crore for creating irrigation network. So this was not done ever before. So that is why we are saying, while we cannot help blaming the previous governments, because we are not there. And we talked of linking of river when Vajpayee ji came to power in the previous India government.
So let me draw in Shehzad into the debate now. Shehzad, what would be your point on this issue?
Listen, Vimlendu is very right. It is not about drought relief anymore.
Yes.
It is about drought mitigation.
Yes.
And in 2010, the National Disaster Management Agency came out with a set of guidelines called Management of Drought. Chapter 3 and 4 are dedicated to the drought mitigation. Now, 2 days ago, Union Minister Uma Bharti says there is no point planning for droughts.
Yes.
I mean, this is a ridiculous statement to be made by a water resources minister that we can't plan for drought. In fact,
Yes.
droughts are the only natural calamity
Yes.
or natural disaster that you can
Yes,
plan
yes,
for.
yes.
But our ministers are more interested in clicking selfies.
Yes.
They are more interested in going by helipads.
Yes.
My simple question was, you
Yes.
knew this was coming.
Yes.
Why didn't you release the Manrega funds in advance?
Yes.
Till date, only 48 days of Manrega work has been given, whereas the statute says 100 days of work.
Yes.
Till date, all the water is being diverted for beer,
Yes.
it is being diverted to sugar, it is being diverted to IPL, but it is not being provided to the farmers.
Yes.
You have not implemented the other schemes that are there for social welfare.
But
of
Shehzad,
farmers.
a lot of
Whose
sugarcane
job was this?
factories
This was the
actually
current
come in from
government's
your
job,
state
and
of
the current government has
Maharashtra.
failed at it.
But wouldn't you agree, Shehzad, that a lot of sugarcane cultivation and factories, in fact, after Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra is the sugar bowl of India. And what happened in Latur? Farmers were forced or maybe coaxed into cultivating sugarcane. When, I mean, it consumes up to 2000 mm of water per year. But Maharashtra never stopped doing that.
And also,
So
Tarun,
the point is that when there is a certain cropping pattern that people have adopted,
Yes.
you have to educate them to change to another cropping pattern. The point is not that. The point is that what are the priorities of the government? The priority of the Maharashtra government was IPL, it was wasting 10,000 liters somewhere, it was clicking selfies, it was not releasing the Manrega funds on time.
Yes.
The relief could have been provided. This water train and train bus and all
Yes.
of these things, these
Yes.
are measures of last resort.
Yes.
What did the government do for 2 years? And
Yes.
because of this, there's been a 40% rise in farmer suicide.
So let me allow BJP to rebut you. Let me allow a rebut to.
Squarely responsible.
Sudesh,
you
will
see,
you
Tarun,
give us a
yeah,
rebut?
Tarun, you see, the issue is, I was listening to him.
Yes.
He spoke about Uma Bharti,
Yes.
Sadhvi Uma Bharti.
Yes.
She is a minister. I don't know in which context he has said that.
Yes.
I'm not aware of that.
Yes.
But you showed a clip.
Yes.
Of Mr. Nitin Gadkari,
Yes.
where he is
Yes.
talking about drought management.
Yes.
He is saying that unless
Yes.
you have matching structures
Yes.
where you can tackle with drought,
Yes.
you have to create those structures.
Yes.
You cannot be dependent on the mountain. This is our minister is saying.
Yes.
And which is the thinking of the government.
Yes.
You see, this is the long-term mitigation we are talking about,
Yes.
creating water bodies
Yes.
and conservation of water.
Yes.
This is what he is saying, that water is getting drained out into the seas.
Yes.
Try to prevent those waters and
Do it to
recharge.
NDTV.
Yes.
Recharge the aquifers.
Yes.
But what he is saying about release, I'll tell you, there was a review meeting 2-3 days back
Yes.
at the PMO
Yes.
with the UP government
Yes.
in Bundelkhand. They have allowed 50 mandates more. There are 100 mandates allowed in Manrega.
Yes.
They have allowed 50 mandates more, and the central government is paying for that.
Yes.
So there is no problem as to the central government not getting
Translated into
aware or
reality,
rising to the
please
occasion.
read
Yes.
But it
Justice
is,
Lokur's
you see, the prime
observation.
responsibility,
Yes.
you must understand,
Yes.
for drought is state. Because
Yes.
if we interfere in a state,
Yes.
we will be violating the federal structure.
Yes.
The demand has to come from the state,
Yes.
and if it do not match to the demand,
Yes.
then you can blame us that we are not reacting to this.
Shehzad, I would like to draw in Shehzad at this point. The BJP is making a point that the demand should come from the states because it's a federal structure. Do you agree with what BJP is
Yeah,
putting?
Absolutely wrong. He has not observed what has happened in the courts today. This matter was being heard even today.
Yes.
Today the government has submitted that 33 crore people.
But
25%
Sajad, the
of
same
our
court
population is
tomorrow,
drought-hit,
if we go
and
on
the
interfering,
the
we'll say
Supreme
that why we are
Court-
interfering in the
Supreme Court
federal
asked the
structure of
center
the
that why are you-
constitution.
Yes.
Sir,
Why
please
we are
listen to
interfering in the states, the same court will say.
So
Please
let
listen.
let
While
Shehzad
we
make a
both-
point.
Listen to
Let
me, I'm
Shehzad make a
explaining that.
point and
Please
allow
listen
you a
to me.
rebut. Shehzad, please come in. Shehzad, you come in and then allow him to rebut.
The point is that I am sitting outside Mausam Bhavan, which is
Yes.
a central government agency.
Yes.
The Supreme Court told the center that
Yes.
you have Science and Technology Ministry, you
Yes.
have agencies under your control with which you can equip the states with information. So
Yes.
it is not a state alone problem.
Yes.
Drought is not a state problem. It has been said today in the Supreme Court, and
Yes.
the central government has said that 25% of Indian population is hit by drought. So
Yes.
it is no longer a state issue. Please do not put the onus on states. And you have not released last year's money money of Narega funds, which is a criminal offense because it is under the law that you are supposed to give it in the starting of the month. Have you seen the Narega guidelines? You are supposed to give it in the starting of the year.
Sudesh, would you like to rebut?
You see, I have already explained in the beginning that there were technical problem and now it's being done.
So you've made your points, and let me get in Vimlendu.
What I'm saying is, this is we are aware of the situation. I'll tell you. I'll quote something. On December 29, 2015, the union government sanctioned 3,100 crore for drought in Maharashtra.
Okay.
And you see, the state government under Devendra Fadnavis had already announced a financial package of 10,512 crore.
Okay.
So you see, who does the assessment of the state? The state has to do, that what was the extent, where it has happened, and then it will come to the center. And if the center is not reacting to that situation, because center has to be benevolent, then you can say. But at the same time, you see, I understand what the Supreme Court has said. I bow to the observation of the Supreme Court. But at the same time, if we use that to interfere in affairs of the state, tomorrow Mr. Sajad Poonawala will come and say that why is the central government interfering?
So at this point, Vimlendu has been observing the debate. Vimlendu saw two political parties fighting. Governments are, governments come, governments go. It's been 69 years. The country has governments in the state and the center. Still we face the same issues. Vimlendu, what point would you like to make when you observe Shehzad making some points and also the BJP making some points? What do you think when you see this debate?
Yeah, so I think it's as I said earlier, it's a classic example of misplaced priorities, where how much respect do we pay to whose life, as in when farmers perhaps in more so in this current dispensation, in this current government, do not have that kind of a preference over perhaps the richest of the rich that we're talking about. And at the end of the day, it's the optics of it. At the end of the day, if our chief ministers are responding so late to a crisis like this, because this is not a federal versus state issue anymore. This is a national disaster. This is a national and by the way, this is basically a failed governance that has actually caused or expedited the entire impact. Of course, there would have been an impact, but farmers, please also understand that we are talking only about these numbers of 3,500 people only in one state committing suicide is only the number of people who actually are gone. We are not even talking about the number of people who are actually falling into the poverty dump. We are also not even talking about the number of people who would be migrating to other villages. So it's an extreme situation that we're talking about, and rather than politics, I think it's a if we are talking about Make in India and every day we have a new slogan, we need to really start something about Live in India.
Vimlendu,
and life in India is becoming very, very challenging, perhaps not for you and me.
Vimlendu, there have been incidents in Maharashtra where the minister was caught clicking selfies when she was visiting a drought-affected region. In Karnataka also there was the same problem. Siddaramaiah visited a place where 2 tankers of water were emptied because there shouldn't be dust when his caravan or cars drive past that place. So I mean, such incidents, do you think we should ignore such incidents, or even these things matter? Yes. So
we cannot, because unfortunately that's what it's very, very important for us to expose these political leaders, because at the end of the day their intent is not correct, because at the end of the day I'm going to see them by looking at the drought situation. I'm going to observe and make my observations or judge them based on their behavior. So they clicking selfies, they getting a helipad constructed, they being completely insensitive, as someone said just now, that the water minister is saying the drought is, you can't really do anything about drought. What are you a water minister for? If everything has to be left for gods and goddesses, then let's not have a government.
So at this point, let me draw in Shehzad.
We know that there has been real extreme
Shehzad, what do
failure
you
of
think?
governance.
Have political leaders become too insensitive? This is not a Congress or BJP issue. What we saw in Karnataka with the Karnataka chief minister, we also saw in Maharashtra. So you think it's political leaders as a class growing insensitive to the needs of the common people?
See, first of all, what happened in Karnataka is extremely condemnable, especially in a state where there is a drought situation, and we will get to the bottom of it and nobody will be spared. I hope Sudesh Verma can say the same thing about Pankaja Munde, about Eknath Khadse. I hope he can say it about Gopal Shetty, his MP, who said that farmers commit suicide because it's a fashion trend, or about the Haryana agricultural minister who said farmers are cowards when they commit suicide. Can he say the same thing? No, he cannot say it, because this is the culture of the BJP. They are a pro-business government party, and they do not care really about the farmers and the common people. We understand that, but the point is, when you are in government, you are required to take certain steps to to
Yes.
alleviate the problems of the poor people,
Yes.
to alleviate the problems of the common man.
Yes.
And had they done a little advanced planning,
Yes.
had they done a little, kind of a situational check,
Yes.
they would have been able to avert a major crisis.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Uma Bharti and other ministers have left this government Ram Bharose.
would you want to rebut?
Yeah, of course, you
And I don't
see,
think Bhagwan
I-
I'll
Ram
allow,
Bharose-
allow a rebut to Sudesh.
I completely disagree with Sajad. You see, the incident of Pankaja Munde has been blown out of proportion
Yes.
and treated in a frivolous way. You should weigh what why she has gone there to make an assessment.
Yes.
What she has stated there.
Yes.
How is the government responding? These
Yes.
are more serious issues.
You don't make an
than
assessment
talking
at
about
so
selfish.
late in the day,
Talking
sir.
about
So
selfish
I
is
would like
ridiculous.
to break in
You see,
for a moment and,
and
let my team show you for all you viewers this graphic which actually shows that 54% of the country is currently water stressed. 54% of the country are facing huge problems related to water availability, and this is due to huge use of tube wells that people have been indiscriminately digging tube wells. So it's also an issue of people sensitization. Are people sensitized to the problem, or will they again go on indiscriminately digging tube wells? So I would like to draw in Vimlendu Jha's attention.
No, I have not completed, if you allow me.
Sudesh,
See,
I'll
I've
allow
not
you.
completed. Please
Sudesh,
allow me.
so let Sudesh
you
make
need to
his
also
point and then allow Vimlendu to complete. Please,
Vimlendu,
Sudesh.
I was saying something, but
Yes.
you stopped.
Yes,
It's
yes.
fine. You see, Sajad spoke about our government being anti-farmer.
Yes.
Okay. If you see this time's budget,
Yes.
everybody is talking about the kind of stress, the kind of focus
Yes.
we have given on infrastructure.
Yes.
Rural infrastructure we are
Yes.
getting. You see, 2 days back, on 14th of April, Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated e-market. What is this e-market for?
Yes.
E-market is basically for empowerment of farmers,
Yes.
so that they can get better pricing about their produce.
Yes.
If you don't understand these things and just want to club us
Yes.
through the spectacle, you want to see us,
Yes.
we can't help. But
Yes.
go and ask
No.
a farmer and he
Yes.
will tell you.
Yes.
Rural roads that help the farmers. If there is Jan Dhan Yojana account that helps the farmer, poor man who doesn't have money but can open account. First time it has happened. Such an empowerment which never was thought before.
Sir, I have a
Don't,
point to
don't
make.
try to undermine,
Yes.
the seriousness of these steps which have been taken.
Yes. So Shahzad, do you want to make a rebut, or should I go to Vimlendu?
Sir, I want to make a quick.
Vimlendu.
I have a
Let's
very
get
quick
Vimlendu
point.
in and then I'll get to Shahzad. Vimlendu, please come in.
Yes.
Yeah. Shahzad, give me a minute.
So, I have a simple request to Mr. Verma. Mr. Verma, all your budget and your announcements, if there'll be another 3,500 people who will not be able to really reap the benefit of your next budget, what's the point of this budget?
Yes.
If the situation remains the same, if there are thousands of people still dying despite you making tall claims, what's that budget? That it's just a piece of paper for thousands and thousands of farmers who are actually suffering. So please understand, governance is not about what you do in the parliament.
Yes.
Governance is about what you actually do in the field, and you have completely failed. At the end of the day, yesterday I would have blamed the Congress because they were in power. Today you are in power, and let's take responsibility. Let's be accountable. And also about the tube well thing that we were talking about right now. Please understand that who builds these tube wells?
Yes.
Who is the mafia behind these cash crops that we're talking about? And you'll be very, very surprised to know that it's primarily the political lobbies, the
Yes.
political heavyweights
Yes.
who are behind these cash crops, and they actually have access to the tube wells. As in, if you actually go to states like Maharashtra, if you go to Marathwada
Yes.
or in Vidarbha,
Yes.
who actually the land owners
Yes.
or the biggest sugar owners
Yes.
are actually political groups,
Yes.
are people from all political clubs.
So
be it
is
NCP
it
or
a matter of
BJP or Congress or
convenience?
from other parties.
Is it a matter,
You know,
Vimlendu,
you
is it a
understand
matter,
that
Vimlendu, is it a matter
it
of
is a matter of
convenience?
convenience, it's a matter of bad governance.
Yes. So bad governance is at
So
the
are you
root.
saying, Vimlendu, that in 20 months we have been in power, we have brought bad governance so much bad that 60 years of sin of Congress, you are ready to wash away? Is this what you are saying?
See,
nobody can
I have to
condone
tell you
death.
one thing.
We
I will
feel
not
pain
give you
by the
I
death
will
of
not-
farmers.
sir,
But don't you see
sorry,
the
sir.
steps which
I
our
will not
government
give you
has taken,
21 more
like
years.
crop insurance
I-
scheme at a low
I have-
premium?
Yes.
Don't
No,
you
the-
see health insurance
sir,
scheme which
Yes.
we have given?
The
so that
country has
farmers
voted
don't commit
you
suicide.
today to
Their
perform
motivation
now.
is less. Don't
The
you appreciate
country
these
has
efforts,
voted you
which we have
today to
taken in
perform now,
less than 20
not to
months.
perform after 20 years or after 50 years.
Yes, yes.
Your performance has to be today, not after 20 years. Please
Vimlendu
understand.
saying,
Please don't say that.
So,
I will
So
not
let
take
me break
50
in.
years to do it.
Vimlendu is fairly putting the blame on the BJP, saying that they are in power, they should have done it. But before we actually close today's discussion, let me allow in a few words to each of the participants. Let's start with Shehzad, go on to Vimlendu and Sudesh. You can bring the issue to a close because you're in power and you have to give the answers. Shehzad, final points, please.
My final point is, Vimlendu is actually absolutely correct that there is a lot of man ki baat, but there is no kaam ki baat in the fields, on the road, in the grassroots levels. And therefore, what you've seen is that there's a 40% increase in farmer suicides, and farmer suicides taking place in Punjab, which was unheard of. And I would request Sudesh Verma ji that you have a pro-corporate
Thanks,
agenda.
Vimlendu, 10
but do
seconds
not
to you.
forget
I have
the
got, we are running out of time. 10 seconds, 15 seconds to Vimlendu, and then we close with Sudesh.
So, yeah, I think it's it's an occasion right now. It's an emergency, and we need to get beyond politics. Really, for
So
heaven's
getting
sake,
beyond
think about
politics is
those
what's your point? The rest of the
40,000
point we
farmers
have
who
heard.
commit suicide
Sudesh, I'll
every
allow
year.
you to close the
And
debate.
You see, we are taking multi-pronged strategy from all sides to ensure that farmers are safe, farmers get better pricing for their produce, and there's no motivation to commit suicide. We are concerned about this. It will take some time, but believe us, the way we are acting, soon you will get result, and there will be no reason to complain.
So soon we get results, soon is what the BJP says, but here the truth remains. 69 years have passed since we got independence. Even today, we struggle with these basic issues, be it roads, be it water, be it irrigation. So I lead the question to you viewers, whether it's apathy of the political class or apathy on the part of the people themselves when they elect governments. Have we to hold the people we elect accountable for their deeds or their misdeeds? Thank you for joining in the debate today. Thank you from Tarun.